Role-playing games are great. Here's why. When I started conceptualizing this video, I wanted to title it "Why Role-Playing Games Are the Greatest Form of Entertainment Ever." But while researching and trying to record this video and get it all into a coherent narrative, that didn't work out so well. I still think that is a point you could make, but maybe the topic is just too large and I would have to compare it to any other form of entertainment. But what I actually wanted to do was talk about why I think that role-playing games are great. But still, let me start with the entertainment aspect of it. There are several ways how you can entertain yourself. For one, there is some sort of social activity. We as humans are a social species in nature, and just hanging out with your friends, hanging out with other humans you like is entertaining. It's a rewarding experience in and of itself. I enjoy just an afternoon, evening spent together with my friends, cooking together, eating together, discussing stupid modern life and politics. And that is fun, that is a rewarding experience, and that satiates my desire for human interaction. Then there's also sports, just moving around your body, straining yourself, maybe even doing it well is fun. But sports are more fun if you make a game out of it. Games are usually pretty good fun. That's kind of the only point of games. And game of sports is fun. And if other players are involved, it also becomes a social activity and it's really good fun. Then you also get story, the telling of story, the listening of stories. Storytelling is probably a very old form of entertainment, something we have done since we invented language. Our ancestors have been sitting around their campfire, sharing stories about their everyday life, about what they have heard, about the world around them, not only to entertain each other, but also to share knowledge and wisdom, if they knew about that aspect or not. Nowadays we've got many mediums for storytelling. We've got, of course, still got the oral tradition, just sitting down, tell someone a story, listening to a story told to you. We've got books and literature, which is a bit different. There's not someone, not an actual person telling you the story, but it's through the written word. That removes it a bit from that human aspect, from that person, but it gives the opportunity to make that book really large, elaborate, and to work out the story to perfection. And you can read it at your own time. And nowadays we can print it and digitally copy it a million times and get that story told to so much more people. Then we got theater, stage plays, we've got radio plays, and we've got movies and video games. And movie industry and video game industry are just huge industries worth billions and billions of dollars, which should tell you how much stock we humans put in storytelling, and if only as a form of entertainment. Now, role-playing games are a unique blend of several of these types of entertainment. In their most simple form, we've got the aspect of storytelling, which is very fundamental to the human experience. Storytelling is not only a form of entertainment, it is how we experience the world, how we experience ourselves and how we know our own place in this world. It's through the stories we have heard and through the stories we form ourselves. So role-playing games, story, very important aspect, and it's also a game. And games are just plain good fun. But games are not a very simple form of fun, not necessarily. Games can challenge you both physically and mentally. And games are just a more involved and more active form of entertainment than something that is solely passive, like watching a movie. So more areas of your brains will be active when playing a game. Role-playing games make the storytelling aspect much more involved because you're not just passively absorbing the story, you are actively involved in the story and changing the course of the story. Even in a video game that is not a role-playing game becomes better if it tells a story. It becomes more compelling to play. Even Space Invaders had a story. Well, it's not a complicated story, just aliens are invading the world, fight them off, but there you go. That puts some context in you shooting pixels that are descending from above. But role-playing games put you in the shoes of the characters acting in the stories, and you make decisions in the stories. Have you ever caught yourself at shouting advice at characters in a horror movie because they are acting so stupid? Damn it, you morons, don't go in that mansion. The murderer is in there. Well, role-playing games give you the opportunity to act stupid yourself. But even the best and most elaborate solo role-playing, computer role-playing games are very limited in what you actually can do and where you can influence the story. A tabletop role-playing game with human players and a human GM can react to anything you do, anything you can come up with. The story can become anything you and your friends can imagine. Literally limitless possibility. Now, at that point, the RPG will become a social experience, and most things are just better if you do them with friends. Playing video games, more fun with friends. Playing sports, more fun with friends. But especially role-playing games benefit massively, not only from having that human GM, but also by having the other players to incorporate other characters in your game. It just makes it a much richer experience. And then there's the part where you just hang out with your friends, playing a game, having a good time. That is not to be underestimated. But let me focus on that story aspect a bit more. Tabletop role-playing games are unique in this blend of storytelling, cooperative storytelling, and playing a game. Because there are more people involved in the storytelling, and because it's interactive, and because you've got this random element that the game brings in. The story's always unpredictable, it's always different. No two runs of The Mines of Phandelver will ever be quite the same. That makes the experience so much more involved. You're not just listening to a story, you're not just telling the story, you are experiencing a story. It's as if you were a character in that story. It's much more emotionally involving than a movie or a video game could ever be. When I'm writing a story, I actually take the very same approach I would take when writing an adventure for a role-playing game. I work out the world, I describe the characters, the main characters I describe as though they were player characters I made, and the minor characters I describe as though they were NPCs I create. And then when I go down writing the story, I imagine not only these player characters, but also who would be playing these player characters. I can imagine my friends playing this character, acting in this situation I have given them. Through this process, the actual scenes, the actual dialogue will develop in my head, and then I just have to write it down. Just gives me structure through this whole creative process. I find it very inspiring. What is really great and unique about role-playing games is that you play a role, and you play a different role from yourself. It's maybe the only opportunity you will ever get to step outside yourself and become someone else, if just for a moment, if just for the duration of a game. And that is especially true for live action roleplay. There, for a few days, you can incorporate someone else and forget about your everyday struggle. You don't have to worry about your boss being mean, about doing the taxes anymore. For a few days, you can instead worry about someone else's problem. Like, we are being attacked by orcs. What are we going to do? The artificial intelligence running our bunker has turned off the life support, and now we are all suffocating. What am I going to do? It's not like you completely forget who you really are. It's always there in the back of your mind, and if you focus on it, you're right back in yourself. But the forefront of your thoughts will be about the situations and the problems presented right in front of you. And even though these situations will be quite stressful, it allows you to go on a holiday from yourself. Role-playing games are also an opportunity to try out other roles. They give you the opportunity to try out being a brave, righteous paladin, try out being a sneaky, backstabbing rogue, try out being a sweet-talking, charismatic bard. Through trying these things out in the safe environment of role-playing games, you can become a better person in real life. I mean, it's not like you ever stay the same. We're actually always changing creatures, and you can work to be a better person each day. But role-playing games give you the opportunity to just try out the end goal and not worry about the consequences. In role-playing games, you can act as a sociopathic murder hobo and at some point hopefully come to the realization, oh my god, my character is a total asshole. And that's way better than being a total asshole in real life and realizing that too late. Believe it or not, I used to be a very shy introvert person. But through role-playing, and especially through live-action role-playing, I became ever more confident in myself and my ability to talk to other people, plain simple. There's so much that I have learned through LARP and that I have learned for LARP actually. I've learned talking in front of a lot of people. I've learned sword fighting. I've learned tailoring. I've learned leatherworking, even a bit of smithing. I've learned a bit of carpentry. I can make my own furniture if I have to. Could even build a whole house on my own if I really had to. I've learned about history. I've learned about historic weapons, modern weapons, military tactics. I've learned about economics and politics. I have been the captain of a pirate ship, the leader of a gang of thieves. I've been a righteous paladin, a bard playing in front of a huge crowd. And though all of these experiences were in a game, some of that transferred to my real life and who I am today. Role-playing games can give you a fresh, different perspective on yourself and your own life. Maybe it's just, oh man, I'm glad we are living not in a Cthulhian world of horror and there are no tentacle monsters in the attic trying to eat me, or zombies, or anything. Or maybe in a real life situation, maybe in retrospect, you think, how would my character have acted in this situation? Could I have done this better? Would my righteous paladin have lied in this situation, or would he have faced his problems head on? Would my barbarian step down instead of facing an argument? Would my draw fighter laze around and refresh my Twitter feed 15 times before actually going and finishing his chores? Or would he go finish his chores and then have a drink of beer? Again, that is especially true for live action roleplay because you have to actually incorporate these characters. If you want to play a brave fighter, a master swordsman, you have to become brave. It's only in a game situation, but still, if there's an unrushing horde of orcs trying to murder you, it takes a bit of guts to just stand there and hold the line. It takes effort just to get up again and again when you're tired, when you're cold and hungry and your armor is weighing you down, and still get your sword and still do the fighting. If you want to portray a studied and wise wizard, you actually have to put in some effort and learn all these topics the character should be knowledgeable about, at least to an extent where you can comfortably talk about them within a role-playing situation. And then maybe you will find out that you aren't actually wise and that you hate learning. But hopefully you will find out that learning can be a lot of fun. If you decide what topics to learn, if you decide when and how to learn it, it's a really rewarding experience and you will never stop learning new things. Let me focus a bit more on the game aspect for a moment. Even the game aspects enriches the other aspects in the storytelling. Because they are random resolution mechanics, you don't quite know how any situation will play out. This makes the progress of a story unpredictable, even more unpredictable than having different people acting out all the characters. And these tense situations will become even more exciting because you as a GM don't know the outcome. And then there's a bit of a gambling aspect to it. You roll the dice and you don't quite know what will happen. And to some people, these This rolling dice, this gambling aspect is more important to than others. But what these game aspects, these rules and mechanics also do is they give structure to the story. If you've got no structure, if you've got just a blank table, everything is possible, it becomes really hard to actually be creative and come up with anything interesting. But if you've got some limitations, if you've got this structure, if you've got the background world, if you got the characters, if you got the rules to handle situations, your creativity becomes more focused on what you actually can do. And I find that is a great tool to get the creativity rolling. Last but not least, certainly not least, role-playing is a social activity. It's way more fun with other people around, and other people will also search for people to play role-playing games with. So there are online forums, there are blackboards at your local gaming store to find people to play with, to form role-playing groups. It's a great way to meet new people. At this point, most of my friends I've met either through role-playing or on a live action role-play. And there, it's just an opportunity to meet people, to talk to people, and share these experiences, these bonding experiences with people you wouldn't otherwise have met. People that are living in other cities, other countries, people from a completely different social background than yours. They all can come together and play role-playing games, and you can become friends with them. And I think that will only enrich your life and give you a greater perspective on life. I think there's even the possibility to spice up other social activities with role-playing. I talked about just meeting my friends, cooking together, eating together, talking about politics, but we could make a role-playing game out of it, something like a Crimi dinner. Or maybe we pretend we are in Hell's Kitchen and one of us is Gordon Ramsay, one of us is a food critic, and then we make a desperate hustle to get the best food ever done. Could be fun. Could be a good laugh. And that's all I have for today, but I want to give this question back to you. Another social aspect of the hobby, by the way, there's a larger community than just your role-playing group. There's the community of writers, there are conventions, there are forums, there's YouTube. So many people that share in this hobby and like to share their own creative work and like to talk about it. So let me give this question back to you. Why do you think role-playing games are great? Or maybe you know an even greater form of entertainment I have not discovered yet. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and goodbye.